What's up guys, this is Chris. Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we're talking about one of my favorite EV plays out there, in my opinion, a possibly better investment than even something like a Tesla or a NIO out there or any of the traditional automakers. I'm talking about MP Materials, okay? Ticker symbol MP. And this is a huge growth stock that most people are not aware of, but this has a lot of potential for the next 5 to 10 years of one of the best investments that you can make. This is one of the biggest positions in my six-figure portfolio, and we're going to go through the due diligence and some of the craziness here, the MP mania that just came out in after hours here because they reported Q4 earnings, and we have some guidance and color for the coming year 2021. So if you like this type of video, make sure to like the video, and without further ado, let's get started. So first I'm going to give some background on MP Materials and exactly what this company does and its business model and its huge plans for the future. And then we'll get into the 2 or 3 big bullish points as to why you want to invest in this company and where I see the stock price going in the next couple of years. So MP Materials, if you're not aware, is the only pretty much Western Hemisphere company that's operating at a scale to mine rare earth elements, okay? If you don't know what rare earth elements are, I have this graphic on the screen. It's going to help out a lot, as well as details on its facilities. And essentially, these elements are what is used to create magnets that are used in turn in things like EV engines, in wind turbines, and in other types of products that are essential to the green revolution, and just in general some other core types of products like semiconductor chips and defense products. These are all things that are going to be used more and more, so obviously we need to mine more and more of these rare earth elements, okay? So right now the rare earth element and magnet supply chain is dominated by China, which owns about 80 to 85% of the market out there. MP Materials, as I mentioned, is the only Western Hemisphere operator at scale, and they're currently doing about 15% of the total rare earth concentrate market in the entire world. So this company is obviously very, very important to supply chain, to national security, which we'll get into later. And right now they are taking that concentrate after they've dug that stuff out of the ground and refine it a bit and clean it up. Right now, they're shipping that concentrate to other companies to refine even further into the individual elements and components that are used to create the magnets, all right? So right now at their facility, they're only really doing that first stage process. They're trying to build out that stage 2 and stage 3 part of their business. So essentially in stage 2, which is going to come around 2022, they will be able to do some of the individual refining at their own location, and they're specifically going to focus on NdPr. These are the elements that are used to create the most powerful magnets that are especially going to be used in EV engines. And this is very critical, right, as the transition occurs worldwide from ICE vehicles to EVs or zero emission vehicles, hydrogen vehicles, what have you. That is going to cause a lot of demand, okay? The third stage is going to be focusing on actually building magnets, okay? So once you have all those components, they're actually going to create the magnets as well. And with vertical integration, they are going to be able to save a lot of costs. They're also going to be able to acquire a lot more revenue, okay? So now going into the whole demand aspect of things for this company, you can see that demand for these rare earth elements is skyrocketing. The prices of these elements month by month is changing drastically, and over the past year you can see that some of these prices have gone up 50%, 100%, 200%. All right, and these are prices that are going up, and MP is in turn going to be able to sell their concentrate to other companies for a much higher and higher and higher price, while, you know, generally speaking, the cost of labor and the cost of them to actually mine these elements is not going up as fast. So that all comes down to the bottom line. They're going to become more profitable, very, very good for the company. And as I mentioned, these are especially NdPr, these elements are used in those EVs, and 90% of vehicles are expected to use that type of magnet that ends up being produced by those elements. And that is a great thing when MP finally gets to that last stage where they're producing those magnets, which again should be around 2023 to 2025. And looking ahead, right, they mentioned on the conference call around 3% of the entire automobile industry right now is electric. In the next 10 to 20 years, we'll say, that percentage, some people have it at 90%. All right. Nevertheless, that number is certainly going to at least multiply. From some estimates, there's going to be 10 times the number of EVs by the end of this decade. So this is a very, very fast growing industry. And this is a play that capitalizes on that without having to bet on a single automaker, right? There's going to be some winners and some losers in the automaker space, right? There's going to be Teslas, there's going to be Ford, GM, Volkswagen is making a big bet now. All these companies are investing a ton of money into R&D and into just making new models and focusing on those for the next several years. And this is going to replace a lot of vehicles out there. So all these vehicles, no matter who wins, they're going to be producing in mass volumes, and they're going to need these magnets in their systems.
Like any great boom, whether it was the railroads, the ICE automobile, or the internet, youthful industrial excitement and unending possibility eventually seasons into maturity, competition, consolidation, and failure for some. But every great American gold rush era needs its picks and shovels or blue jeans plays. And this one is no different. We believe MP serves that kind of role.
And right now, a lot of people are just ordering from China, okay? This is leading into point number 2 here, where a lot of government interests are really focusing on trying to bring back the supply chain to the United States. This is becoming a national security issue, which in turn tends to get a lot of backing from the government. And you can see even the past administration in 2020 already put out some executive orders on trying to focus on bringing back the supply chain of rare earth element and magnets to the United States. The administration right now has done a similar executive order to try to figure out how to improve the situation, and that could always mean government funding goes to companies like MP to accelerate their business plan. And MP already has some funding from the government already, from the Department of Defense in the prior year. Granted them around $10 million to work on converting and progressing their business. So this has a precedent, and this could continue in the next coming years as an emphasis is further placed on this. And China, there's some talk already that they're trying to weaponize certain supply chains, or there's going to be some trade issues. I don't know for sure, right? We'll see how that develops, politically. But the whole trend, generally speaking, is towards bringing back that supply chain. And MP is pretty much the only game in town, right, when it comes to the Western Hemisphere. So this is the place to be. Now, the third point I want to really focus on here is simply how well this company has executed so far and how profitable this company can be very, very soon, actually. So a lot of the EV companies out there, some are good, some are bad, right? Some have profits and revenue right now. Some don't even have any profits, and it's just an idea or a business model or pre-orders, right? MP Materials has both rapidly increasing revenue and it has those profits already, okay? So looking at the latest quarter, they did 100% revenue growth, okay? Very, very good, very astonishing, especially when Q4 was a weak year, or a weak quarter, I should say, for them in 2019. And I believe this is seasonally, generally a weaker quarter. However, right, this is a strong quarter for them in 2020. We have that 100% growth, over 40 million in revenue. There was some net income on the bottom line as well, which is good to see. And their EPS actually was 20 cents, which beat estimates, which were 5 cents. And going forward, looking ahead, when they do have that NdPr set up, which should be fully in scale by 2023, they're going to start in 2022. They're expecting to do about $250 million in EBITDA from that business. To put that into context, in Q4 2020, they did $18 million in EBITDA, and for the whole year in 2020, they did $40 million in EBITDA. So that's already around a 5-6 6 times increase in EBITDA that's expected in just a couple of years. And for their 2022 build out, they already have the contracts in place, signed with the costs right here on the screen as well. And even with inflation that's been going on like crazy, the prices of lumber and steel and things like that are going up 100%. They have been able to secure some really good prices. So those expenses are known and set. And the other ones that are part of just the stage 1 type of process for the rare earth concentrate, those expenses are coming down. So that is very good. It's really high margin business as well. As you can see, the margin is improving. It's almost doubled over the past year. So again, that just highlights the profitability of this operation. So a lot of things to like here about this company. It's going in all the right directions. It has all the right tailwinds as well. You have that huge demand. You have that government backing that's likely to come. Now, lastly, let's talk about valuation here. So when it comes to this company, we want to focus on that profitability. So fast forward into probably around 2023 when they scale that NdPr production, you're going to see that their estimates for their EBITDA is around $250 million. And that's based off of around a $70 spot price for NdPr. As the CEO said, right now the spot price is actually more around 90. So you can see how if those prices just keep going up or it maintains at a higher level, like $80, $90, $100, for example, and it's definitely possible with the huge demand, right? Supply and demand influences the price. High demand, prices go up. And, supply is limited, right? Especially if, the government actually limits where people buy some of their product. If they have to buy from the United States, and MP is the only one, prices are going to go up, or at least the MP prices that they're going to be able to charge companies. So the real EBITDA for this company, earnings before income tax, whatever, depreciation, all that, that could be 300 million or more. That's a huge jump from 40 million this past year. So that is anything from, do the math, that could be 8 times the profitability in just a couple of years. And so we have some past examples as well, where if you kind of compare this industry to the semiconductor industry and how semiconductors are such an important supply chain right now that are also in all different types of products, electronics, electric vehicles even right now, right? And there's a whole hoopla right now about a shortage of semiconductor chips, and not to mention memory as well. Memory is also kind of like a commodity, right? Anyone can make these things, but there's only certain companies that can operate at such a huge scale. They have really profitable businesses. They, have really good manufacturing, production, and whatnot. Like Micron, for instance, that is a company that has really skyrocketed over the past several years because of this gigantic demand for memory and the pricing that has also soared over the past several years. So there is some similarities too, right? And I can foresee MP also with this demand and the pricing power that they could have really generating a lot of profits. And you can see Micron MU stock, their profits went from like nothing to, I don't know, dollars and dollars of EPS per quarter. For MP, I think that certainly they could hit, at least several dollars worth of EPS by 2023 when they fully scale. So if you take, we'll put some conservative numbers on it. They're doing 20 cents in Q4 this past quarter. Let's say they get to $1 per quarter, right? I think they certainly can. Then you're looking at $4 of EPS. At $4 of EPS and a materials company, we'll put a PE ratio on it. Let's say 25 to be really conservative, 30, 35. A lot of materials companies trade at 35. You can look at Dow Chemical. That's also a materials company. It's an essential manufacturer. It produces a lot of things like plastic that is needed for a lot of different products. Very similar. It's a very important company. So 35 times 4, you do the math, and that's like $140 price target. And that's, more than 3 times the current stock price. in just a couple of years. So I think that the risk reward is very, very strong here. There's a great story, but there's also great fundamentals backing this company and a lot of good proven results already. That's what I like to invest in, and let me know in the comments down below if you are invested in MP or you're interested in starting a position. Let me know your thoughts, and let's hope for some more big gains for MP Mania. Until next time, my friends, stay well and invest responsibly.